John,
Yeah.
just to start us off for this, thanks again for your time with Keep Cardiff Live. I'm sure you got a big fan base actually in South Wales. I'm sure you've been here loads of times over the years, actually.
Oh God, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we first started to come to Wales when we had to go across the ferry. Sometimes,
From Ilfracombe or
before the
somewhere?
bridge was built, all that stuff,
Oh, from Bristol, from the other side of Bristol across, was it?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
used to
Bob
get the
Dylan did that
ferry.
once. Yeah. Wow.
Before
That,
the M1 was built, we've been around that long. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's
That, the, the,
so South Wales and Wales, the whole thing. I mean, we've loved. I absolutely adore Wales. Actually, the first girl I ever fell in love with, like really in love with, was from the Mumbles.
oh, right.
Yeah, I can still smell her skin. I can still taste the kisses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lovely place actually, the Mumbles as well, isn't it? A really pretty place.
Oh, gorgeous. I was just hitchhiking around,
Hmm.
at the time and having a great time. Yeah, I mean, we had so much fun in Wales playing gigs. Peter Hope Evans, the original partner of mine in
Hmm.
Medicine Head,
Hmm.
he's from Bridgend.
Yes.
So, we were there a lot, and I mean, I wrote a song called Rising Sun, looking out at the ocean or the sea, whatever it may be.
Hmm.
We used to hitchhike wherever we were. We kind of decide to go to the coast and just get out and hitchhike. So we hitchhiked through the night many times to arrive at the coast when the sun came up, as the sun was rising.
Hmm.
So I wrote a song called Rising Sun in those kind of circumstances. It's
Somewhere in Wales.
South Wales, yeah,
Yeah.
in the Bridgend area. That's sort of Cowbridge, I think it was.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a nice coast around there as well. It's not quite the Mumbles, but it's nice. Firstly, John, I wanted to ask you a little bit about about Warriors of Love, about about the new album, sort of how it's been received and how things are going with it, and the general kind of process of putting it together. I imagine it was quite a tricky thing to do at the moment. I don't know.
Well, I think we've all been through a very odd time, haven't we? With COVID, etc. It's been very isolating sometimes, and it's brought a lot of people together as well. And for me, it gave me the opportunity, in a way, to just focus on completing that album. And I'm very thankful, in a sort of strange way that came along. Kind of made, because of my isolation, it made me just knuckle down and get that album finished. And basically, I mean, the opening lines, the first song, Warriors of Love, it's all about, I believe in freedom, I believe in truth, I believe in the power of love, and I believe in you. And then I go on to say, we can't stand by and watch these tears as the whole world cries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a warrior of love. So, let's help each other, let's show each other some love. Yeah. And while we're in those circumstances, let's really, truly do it. And then, of course, now, as we're trying to break out, let's just continue that work, and just like we used to do, the old hippies that we are,
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. So was it like in a way kind of quite a nice creative distraction, I suppose, was it?
Well, I write, I'm writing a lot of the time. And so it kind of was. It was interesting. I put together this little label called Living Room Records because I was recording in my living room, and away we went. It was very literal, cliche, corny maybe, but who cares? It's all about wherever you are is your living room. You live there. You can be in space and it's still the place where you live. And I just wanted to convey that in a humorous way. So good times.
And I'm just trying to work it out. How many albums have you released in any kind of shape or form over the years? Is it 20 odd, probably?
I've never counted. I don't know.
A long list.
I can't help you there. No, I remember I wrote that song called "One on One Is a One."
Yeah, yeah.
So how can I count? I mean,
yeah, fair enough. fair enough. Good answer. But when was that? Was that 73 or something like that? Was it? Was
Yeah, ish. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I'll come on to that a bit later on. What about when you're writing? Because you say you write, you write all the time. Do you have any sort of tips for songwriters? How do you sort of, how do you make these songs happen? Is it some sort of method you use, maybe?
Oh, well, there are several different things. One is make yourself available at all times. Don't think, oh, I'll write that down later, or I'll record that, little snippet later. We've all got mobile phones. You can just sort of talk, put it in record something. So make yourself available. Not everything you do is good, but it might lead to something else. And that's the important thing. I consider myself to be a kind of receiver transmitter. So I receive ideas, and then I have to transmit them, in a song form or whatever it is. And I can't remember who said, it's like 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. You got to be prepared for that. It's like when a lot of people give up playing guitar because they've hurt their fingers. Well, that's the way it is,
Yeah.
If you can't take the pain, there is no gain. I mean, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
I have a story, if you want it, about when we first started Medicine Head. I played piano and Peter harmonica, but everywhere we went, the pianos were smashed up. So we realized that, we've got to change the format, and because, they're either out of tune or broken or whatever, the pianos. So I got a guitar, and I had to learn to play guitar, and I had to sort of transfer the piano-ness of the songs into guitar, all in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So by the time we got to this first gig, my fingers were killing me. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
They were a mess. And so I did do that gig, obviously, and I just had blood everywhere. I literally was, that's the way it was.
Wow.
Because you have to build those calluses. So, don't give up, and keep on going. And, I'm kind of, it's a kind of strange story, but it's a real good story.
Yeah.
It's positive,
I tried to do it the other way around, not very successfully. I tried to transfer guitar to piano, just working on the triads, to try and work out the chords.
Oh, I don't know anything about music. Just do it all.
Well, I just there's generally kind of three main notes in chords and whatever. I just try to take that from the guitar and put it on the piano.
Sure.
Which,
I find myself doing that too. Yeah. In fact, a lot of people say, what kind of things do you do with a guitar or piano? I mean, I've never really been one for technicality, just being technically adept, but obviously you have to have some. But for me, if I can play an A minor, just play an A minor on the guitar, I just sit there and I'm in wonder, I'm in wonderland. It's like, how the hell did that happen? It's just amazing. So, I mean, that's my practicing. If I ever practice, it's just to hear something that turns me on. So an A minor or an E minor, whatever it may be, it's just thank you.
Talking of, I suppose, to some extent, minors, to some extent, there's quite a big kind of blues kind of influence running through what you're writing at the moment, or appears to be on the new album. And you quite diverse, aren't you, in the styles that you sort of occupy? You don't stick with one style. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, everything that I do is based on the blues. It all comes through the blues. But I don't see why you should be pigeonholed or whatever into one type of thing. I mean, Hope Evans and I, when we first started Medicine Head, we would play like a completely raw, broken-hearted, broken everything blues, raw and rough as can be and loud as can be, and then switch to a very gentle song, love song, or a very gentle, some kind of spiritual song, whatever. So we've never kind of thought, oh, that doesn't seem like us. You just do whatever you feel is right.
Because some of the stuff you did in those days, it struck me as quite sort of, towards kind of reggae vibe, kind of dubby kind of territory
I
too.
love reggae. I love, and the early ska, the early island records, the Trojan records. I just love all those early stuff. So there's no reason to not have all kinds of influences.
No, not at all. I think it's a really
One and One is One was written. I wrote it as a kind of New Orleans style, rolling, sort of that's domino-y kind of thing. That's where I was going. And if you listen to it, that's the kind of basic roll of it. So
how did it become the song it was? And was that a producer's influence, or just a way it turned out?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And also, I never thought of it as being like I wasn't writing songs to make hit records. We were just writing songs. And Tony Ashton obviously saw something in that song that he felt was quite sort of approachable by a lot of people, and he got that right, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was a massive hit, wasn't it? I mean, it was a top 5 hit, wasn't it, in the time?
Yeah, and in this country, and then #1 in various others like Germany and stuff. But I don't know whether it was good for us or bad for us. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people said we'd sold out, which is an old phrase for, just becoming a commercial commodity. And
that's crazy, isn't it, John? Don't you think that's a really crazy one? Most people want to have, one of their songs to be heard, and then when they're hit, you sold out.
Yeah, I try not to be judgmental, on things, because if somebody wants to kind of own you in a way, which is what people do want, and they find their special band, and they want they want you to stay the same forever. I can't criticize it, because that's how they feel. But at the same time, we have to, well, we don't have to do anything, but we do. I find myself naturally changing, moving on. The only constant thing in life is change, and that's how it works for me. But people did say we'd sold out. My car was smashed up.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, they're funny. I mean, whatever difference that makes. But people do get very emotional, and that's not a bad thing. Get emotional, get involved.
You're getting emotional and smashing up a car is two different things, arguably.
Well, I think in the heat of the moment, people do very odd things, don't they?
I think you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why people. I like the emotion of it, like you say. On the last, most recent album, I think you worked with some guest musicians. Did you, even though you were recording at home? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, the way it worked was that we transferred files. So Morgan Fisher and I are big old friends from way back.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about him, actually. Tell me about Morgan Fisher, because I've read the book, which I loved. Yeah. And I've interviewed him, but from your perspective as a friend and fellow musician.
Okay, well, I think I met Morgan when he was in Mott the Hoople, and we'd bump into each other on the road, just playing gigs, various colleges, clubs, universities, whatever, and became quite friendly with the Mott the Hoople guys, and Morgan and I became bigger friends, And when Peter Hope Evans left Medicine Head for the first time, or maybe the second time, I can't remember, Morgan was over at my place having dinner, and the phone kept ringing, and it was for him. And so eventually he said, "Oh, what about this? The guys in the band over in Watts, Buffin, the drummer, and we're thinking, would you be interested in getting into a rehearsal room with us?" And I said, well, yeah, why not? So I went in there with them, and we eventually formed this stupidly named band called British Lions, which is a great rugby team, you know.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing band, actually. The power of that band was beyond belief. And that's what it became, you know. And Morgan and I, you know, we just maintained our friendship. He lives in Tokyo now, has been there for, I don't know, well over 30 years, maybe 40 years. And he loves it there. So during that period of time when you know, we've been exchanging audio files, you know, like there's a song on that album called Forgive and Forget. And Morgan sent me the piano intro. And then he said, I've got a title, Forgive and Forget, you know, and it really, I thought that's fantastic. You know, it really is a lot of what life's all about, you know, please forgive, forget it, start over. So he sent that to me and I thought, wow, you know, I'm going to do something with this. And that song came out of it, you know, so it's good. So even though I was working in my living room, Morgan was working in his living room or his studio in Tokyo. So, you know, that was a great way to communicate and great way to put things together.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite an exciting.
I think it sounds quite fresh, you know, and live, you know, it doesn't sound like as if we're so many thousand miles away from each other. You know, it's
Did you produce it, John, yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, you put the whole thing. So you're getting these files from all over the place, and kind of you put the whole thing together. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the way I work generally is that you know, Morgan sent me that introduction, for example, and then I wrote, you know, put guitars down and drums and, you know, and whatever, got a song together with the vocals and backing vocals and all that sort of stuff. And Morgan then augmented his keyboards, you know, what he'd done. And away we go.